All right, ready for a deep dive?
Always ready.
Okay, good. Today we're looking at high blood pressure and how it affects your kidneys, specifically something called hypertensive nephropathy.
Uh,
We're working from a YouTube video script, so it's all pretty accessible information,
Sounds good.
but it's still a deep dive, right? We're going to really unpack
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Our mission, as always, is to give you the knowledge, the power to keep your kidneys healthy.
It's important stuff.
It is. And you know what blew my mind?
What's that?
Your kidneys, get this, they filter like 50 gallons of blood every single day.
Wow, that's a powerful image right there. Makes you realize just how hard those kidneys are working.
Yeah, and high blood pressure, well, that just throws a whole wrench into that system.
Absolutely. It's like putting constant stress on a really delicate machine.
So, hypertensive nephropathy,
Okay.
what is it exactly?
Yeah.
The script defines it as kidney damage,
Right.
specifically caused by long-term high blood pressure.
Okay, so think of it this way, right? Those tiny blood vessels in your kidneys,
Yeah.
they're under immense pressure when your blood pressure is consistently high. Over time, that pressure, it damages the vessels, they thicken, they narrow.
So less blood can get through.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It reduces blood flow to the kidneys, like trying to force a river through a narrowing channel. Eventually, it gets backed up.
Oh, I see.
And when the kidneys can't get enough blood flow, well, they can't filter waste effectively.
So it's like a clog in the system.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And that's where the danger comes in, right? The script really stresses how silent this condition can be. Like early on, there might be NO symptoms.
Yeah, it's a real sneaky one. It can progress without you even realizing it.
That's scary. So regular checkups, those are even more important if you already know you've got high blood pressure.
Absolutely got to stay ahead of it. But even without noticeable symptoms, there are some subtle signs to watch for, like swelling in your legs or feet or hands, or feeling constantly fatigued.
Hmm.
Struggling to control your blood pressure, even with medication, that's a big one. And changes in your urine, foamy appearance, or needing to go less often.
Okay, those are definitely things to be aware of, but of course not self-diagnosing, right? Always check with your doctor if you have concerns.
For sure. Always best to consult a professional.
Now, the script also points out it's not just high blood pressure itself that can damage the kidneys. There are other factors that can speed up that damage.
Oh, absolutely. Uncontrolled diabetes is a big one. High blood sugar, it can be just as damaging to those delicate blood vessels in the kidneys.
As high blood pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, family history plays a role. If kidney disease runs in your family, well, you're at higher risk.
Genetics, huh? Can't escape them sometimes.
Right. But then there's the lifestyle stuff, things we can control.
The usual suspects, right? Smoking, high salt intake, obesity.
Yep, those are the big ones.
Let's start with smoking. Why is that so much worse for the kidneys, specifically?
Well, think about what nicotine does. It constricts blood vessels, right?
Oh.
It's like putting a squeeze on those vessels, making them even narrower.
Oh, I see.
So even less blood and oxygen are reaching the kidneys. It's making them work harder and ultimately accelerating the damage.
So it's like insult to injury almost. You've got high blood pressure straining them, and then smoking comes in and adds this extra layer of constriction.
Precisely. It's like trying to run a marathon, wearing a weight vest, breathing through a straw. You're making an already challenging task even harder.
That's a pretty vivid image.
Yeah.
Okay, what about high salt intake? How does that tie into the kidney damage?
So sodium, what we get from salt, it plays a key role in regulating fluid balance in the body.
Right.
When we eat a lot of salt, our bodies hold on to more water. That leads to higher blood volume. And that increased volume puts more pressure on the blood vessels, including those in the kidneys.
So it's like a chain reaction. More salt, more water, higher blood pressure, more strain on the kidneys.
Exactly, it's all connected. And while shaking less salt on your food is good, the real culprit is often processed foods. Sodium hides in there, in surprisingly high amounts.
Sneaky sodium.
It really is.
Yeah.
Becoming a label detective is a great way to take control of your sodium intake.
All right, label detective it is. Now, the last lifestyle factor the script mentions is obesity. What's the connection there?
Well, carrying extra weight puts more strain on all your organs, right, including your kidneys.
Makes sense.
But obesity is also linked to other conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure. And we know those are major risk factors for kidney damage.
So it's like a triple whammy. Obesity on its own is a burden, but then it often comes with these other conditions that make the problem even worse.
Exactly. It's a reminder that taking care of your weight isn't just about fitting into your genes. It's about protecting your overall health. and that includes your kidneys.
So what we've learned so far paints a pretty clear picture. Hypertensive nephropathy, it's a serious condition, can be pretty sneaky, and while genetics plays a role, our lifestyle choices can either help protect our kidneys or accelerate the damage.
I think that's a great summary. It's about understanding the risks and taking steps to minimize them. And the good news is there's a lot we can do to protect our kidneys.
All right, let's dive into those preventative measures.
Hmm.
What does the script recommend?
Well, the script really emphasizes managing your blood pressure,
Okay.
making healthy diet choices, of course,
Mm-hmm.
regular exercise, that's crucial,
Mhm.
and avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol.
Yeah, those all make sense.
These are all things you can actually do to protect your kidneys.
Right. It's good to be reminded sometimes, though, right? Like why these things matter. For example, we talked about reducing sodium,
Hmm?
but how does that actually translate to protecting your kidneys?
So when you eat too much sodium,
Yeah.
it messes with the fluid balance in your body. Your body holds on to more water, which increases your blood volume.
More water, more volume, more pressure.
Exactly. Think of your blood vessels like a network of highways.
Okay, I like this.
Right. And then suddenly there's like way more cars on the road.
Traffic jam.
Yeah, exactly. More traffic, more congestion.
Okay, so the more fluid in your system,
Mm-hmm.
the harder your heart has to work to pump it all around,
Right.
which leads to higher blood pressure
Yes.
and more stress on those tiny blood vessels in the kidneys.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Uh-huh.
So by reducing your sodium intake,
Yeah.
you're helping regulate your blood pressure, taking some of that burden off your kidneys.
Got it. Okay, so reading labels, watching out for hidden sodium, that's key.
Absolutely.
Now, what about exercise? The script mentions it can help lower blood pressure naturally,
It can.
but for someone starting from scratch,
Yeah.
where do they even begin?
Well, it doesn't have to be anything crazy,
Small step.
Small steps. Start with achievable goals.
Yeah.
Even like a brisk 15-minute walk a few times a week can make a difference.
Okay,
The key is consistency.
makes sense.
Build it into your routine like brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, find something you enjoy. Dancing,
Mm.
swimming, gardening, hiking,
Yeah.
whatever gets you moving.
It's about enjoying the movement, not dreading it.
Exactly.
Now, we talked about smoking,
Right.
the dangers of that for your kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
but the script also mentions limiting alcohol.
Yes.
What's the impact there on kidney function?
Well, alcohol is a diuretic, right?
Okay.
Which means it makes your body produce more urine.
Makes you pee more.
Yep, exactly. Which can lead to dehydration.
Oh, okay.
And when you're dehydrated, your kidneys have to work overtime to maintain that fluid balance.
I see.
So in the long run, excessive alcohol consumption,
Yeah.
it can actually damage those kidney cells and increase your risk of chronic kidney disease.
So it's not just about the immediate effects.
No.
It's the damage over time that really adds up.
Exactly. Moderation is key when it comes to alcohol.
Okay, moderation. So we've covered diet, exercise, smoking, alcohol. What about monitoring? How do we know if things are going in the right direction?
So regular kidney function checks, those are super important,
Okay.
especially if you have any of those risk factors we talked about.
Like high blood pressure, diabetes.
Family history of kidney disease, any of that.
Right.
Your doctor can run some tests, blood and urine tests
Okay.
to see how well your kidneys are filtering out waste products.
And the script mentions blood tests checking for
Creatinine.
creatinine.
Yep. And blood urea nitrogen.
What are those and what do they tell us?
So those are waste products, right?
Yeah.
Creatinine and blood urea nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, your kidneys filter them out.
Okay.
But if those levels in your blood are high,
Yeah.
that could mean your kidneys aren't working as well as they should be.
Red flag.
Exactly. A sign of potential trouble.
Got it. What about the urine tests? What are those looking for?
So those can detect protein or albumin in your urine,
Okay.
which shouldn't be there normally.
Right.
But when your kidneys are damaged,
Yeah.
those proteins can leak from your blood into your urine.
Like a leak in the filter.
Exactly. It's a sign that the kidneys aren't keeping those proteins where they belong, which is in your bloodstream.
So those tests, they're like early warning systems.
Mhm.
The earlier you catch a problem,
Yeah,
the better the chances of slowing down or even preventing further damage.
absolutely. Early detection is key.
Okay, so let's say someone's been diagnosed with hypertensive nephropathy.
Okay.
What are the treatment options? The script walks us through a few approaches, from
Wow.
medication to dialysis to even kidney transplant.
So if hypertensive nephropathy is diagnosed,
Yeah.
The first thing is to control that underlying high blood pressure.
Okay.
Got to slow down the progression of the damage.
Makes sense. Adjust the root cause. What kind of medications are typically used for that?
ACE inhibitors and ARBs.
Okay, those are terms I've heard before, but
Yeah.
never really understood what they do.
So basically, they relax and widen your blood vessels.
Okay.
Makes it easier for blood to flow through, reduces pressure on the kidneys.
So it's like easing the tension
Yeah.
on like a stretched out rubber band.
Exactly. Give your kidneys a little breathing room.
Let them work more efficiently.
Exactly. And by controlling that blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
those medications help protect your kidneys from more damage.
That's good to know. But what happens if the damage has progressed beyond the point where medication alone is enough? Like the script mentions dialysis
Right.
and kidney transplants for more serious cases.
Yeah.
Can you explain what those entail?
So dialysis and kidney transplants.
Yeah, pretty serious stuff.
They are.
When do those become necessary? Like in the whole hypertensive nephropathy journey?
So when kidney function has declined, significantly, and the kidneys just can't effectively filter waste and excess fluids from the blood anymore.
Yeah.
That's when dialysis comes in. Like a life-saving measure at that point.
So it basically takes over for the kidneys
Yeah, exactly.
when they can't keep up.
It's essentially like an artificial kidney.
Okay.
There are different types of dialysis,
Mm-hmm.
but basically it involves a machine
Okay.
filtering the blood externally,
I see.
removing those waste products and fluids that the kidneys just can't handle anymore.
Got it. So dialysis is like the artificial kidneys stepping in.
Right.
And what about transplants? Who's eligible for that?
So kidney transplantation,
Yeah.
it's usually considered for people with end-stage renal disease,
End stage.
meaning their kidneys have pretty much permanently lost most of their function.
Wow.
So it involves surgically replacing the damaged kidney
Okay.
with a healthy one from a donor.
That's a major surgery. Where did those donor kidneys even come from?
They can come from living donors, often family members or close friends,
Mm-hmm.
or from deceased donors who, chose to be organ donors.
That's incredible, To think that someone would be willing to donate a part of their body to save someone else's life.
Yeah, it's a really amazing act of
It
generosity.
is.
And for people with end-stage renal disease, a kidney transplant can completely change their life.
I bet.
Allows them to live longer, healthier lives,
Yeah.
and without dialysis, which could be pretty tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I want to go back to that statistic we talked about earlier.
Okay.
The one about our kidneys filtering 50 gallons of blood every day.
It's wild, right?
It really highlights how much work those organs are doing.
It's mind-boggling, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. That's like filtering all the water in a bathtub multiple times over.
Wow.
And they're doing this 24/7 without us even thinking about it.
It really makes you appreciate them, doesn't it? So how do they actually manage to filter that much blood so efficiently?
So it all comes down to these tiny little filtering units inside the kidneys.
Okay.
They're called nephrons.
Nephrons.
Each kidney has like 1,000,000 of them.
1,000,000.
And each one is like its own little super sophisticated water treatment plant.
So the blood flows into those nephrons,
Oh.
and they decide what stays and what goes.
Exactly. They remove waste products like urea and creatinine, excess water, salts,
Mm-hmm.
but they keep the stuff the body needs. Proteins, glucose, electrolytes.
And all that filtered waste, that gets sent out as urine.
Yep, the nephrons collect all that waste.
Yeah.
It travels through a bunch of tubes
Okay.
and eventually ends up in the bladder.
It's amazing how this is all happening constantly, without us even noticing.
It really is. But that also shows why it's so important to protect those kidneys from damage.
Right, because if they're damaged,
Because nephrons can't do their job properly.
and that's when we see those problems.
Waste buildup in the blood, fluid imbalances,
Right.
all sorts of potential health issues.
So this whole deep dive, it's really been about appreciating kidney health,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about filtering blood, it's about maintaining this balance
Right.
that keeps our whole body working, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Kidneys are essential for so many things. Blood pressure regulation, making red blood cells, bone health.
Yeah.
They're like the unsung heroes of our internal systems.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Be proactive
Okay.
about your kidney health. Understand the risks.
Yeah.
Make those healthy choices we talked about.
Yeah.
And most importantly, if you notice any of those warning signs, talk to your doctor.
Don't wait.
Early detection can make all the difference.
It's about taking control of your health
right.
and knowing you have the power to protect your kidneys.
Exactly. And remember, even small changes can have a big impact over time.
Small steps.
Small steps. I'll leave you with this thought. What small step can you take today to show your kidneys some love? You know? Drink an extra glass of water. Choose a low-sodium snack. Go for a walk.
Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into hypertensive nephropathy.
It has been.
We've covered a lot, but I think the most important takeaway is that we all have the power to protect our kidney health.
Absolutely. And remember, the journey to better health, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well said. Keep learning, keep exploring, keep taking care of those kidneys.
Couldn't agree more.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.